Stop Okay guys, just want to put a bar on things before we wrap the video up, so let's jump into it with weight like we usually do. So this week my weight stays stable around 83.7 kilos. So pretty much the same weight as the end of last week, and I'm quite happy that I managed to stay stable there. Moving on from there, my calories have been around 3,200 calories per day. I'll put the actual number on the screen here. But again, I'm quite happy with this. There's a little bit more to tell you about how I've been manipulating my calories throughout the week, but I'll talk to you about that a little bit later. Moving on from there, my macros have been around 325 grams of carbs, 160 grams of protein, and 140 grams of fats. I'll put the actual number on the screen here or here. But again, it may not be at that goal I set at the start of the bulk of 2 grams per kilogram of body weight in terms of protein, but it's well above that 1.8 grams per kilogram of body weight for protein as a minimum standard. So I'm quite happy, and I'm still getting a decent amount of carbs and a decent amount of fats. Moving on from there, our water intake again has stayed stable at around 3 to 4 litres. So getting back to the calories, so basically this week pretty much marks the 6-month period, or the actual week where I hit 6 months of bulking. So I sort of went back into eating around maintenance, just roughly 100 calories above, except for one day where I literally just overfed by about 1,000 calories. And again, I'm quite happy with this because I don't really mind, because it's not in that period where I start to cut, which will be January 1st, but it's in that period, this period where I sort of like try to bring back in healthier eating patterns or healthier eating habits. So then when I start on the 1st of January, it's a lot easier to get straight into my cut without having to do the little habit changes I'm going to need to. So I think that's what I'm going to be doing for the next month and a bit, just basically breaking the bad habits and sort of trying to get ready to put new, better ones in, so then when I go to start cutting, I can put even better ones in when I need to. But I definitely have noticed the difference in starting to eat healthier or more whole sources in terms of my food, so picking meats and stuff and then cooking it myself, so I have complete control over what I'm eating, as opposed to eating loads of junk. So don't get me wrong, I'm still taking in junk food, and I know I am, but I'm sort of picking to eat more healthily now, and I've really noticed a difference. Like my energy is better, I don't feel as lethargic, and I seem to be in a better mood. So I'm starting to think that that 2-week period where I was literally having no appetite and my digestion, we'll leave it as that, was not particularly great. It was basically the sign to tell me to clean up my diet a little bit. So moving on from there, I mentioned that this week marked the 6th month mark of my bulk, and I think it was definitely a good thing to do. Like, it's been hard for me, like mentally. Sometimes I've looked at the mirror and just not looked at myself and been like, I'm really happy with this. I've looked at myself and thought, I just don't like what I look like, but I said I'll take it to somewhere uncomfortable, and I have. And it definitely has forced me to grow in ways I didn't think it would before starting. So it sort of made me have to develop a better personality, I'd say, like in terms of learning to be funnier. I think sometimes when you get caught up in certain pursuits, you forget or you neglect to grow in other aspects. And I think one part of me that was growing or lacked developing and needed some growing was the personality side, and maybe some of the mental strength that now actually has been developed because I sort of have had to. So in terms of that, I'm grateful for my bulk. Definitely taught me some lessons I needed to learn. And then in terms of my actual progress in terms of fitness, it's definitely helped me gain some strength and some muscle. Obviously I've gained fat as well, but that was always going to be part of the territory, and I always accepted that. But in terms of my 3-rep max, it's definitely increased. Like my bench has gone up by 10 kilos, my deadlift's gone up by 7.5, and the biggest increase and biggest improvement was in my front squat, that's gone up by 17.5 kilos in terms of my 3-rep max. So in terms of my strength levels, it was definitely a good thing to do, and in terms of my muscular development, it's definitely improved. Like I've noticed my legs are definitely bigger and thicker, and my abs have got bigger and stronger. So in terms of that, I'm quite happy. And I'm then looking at my shoulders, mainly the lateral deltoid or side delt or medial delt, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely increased in terms of size, and it's starting to now look proportionate and give me that 3D sort of look to the shoulder I've been looking for, so I'm quite happy with that. And then moving on from there, one thing I did notice, because today I was actually this week I sort of looked around during my rest periods, because I had sort of just did that for once, just started people watching, which is something I haven't done in like ages or years. And I just noticed people squatting, and one tip I'm going to give to you guys is please make sure you use proper form, because I've seen a good 20 to 50 people squatting, and out of all of them I've only seen 3 people go into full depth, and that's not great because you put yourself at an increased risk of injury. So if you go through the full movement pattern, your body can actually move through the pattern it's supposed to. If you're cutting it short or you're only going halfway, your body's not really in a position to put the stress where it needs to, so it may compensate by putting it onto places it shouldn't. So that's what I'm saying, like weight's all relative to me. So I may be lifting my max, which may be someone else's warm up, but as long as I'm hitting it to full depth and it's the best I can do, I'm quite happy with it. And I think sometimes we have to scale it back down to build it back up. Like I had to take my squat all the way back down because I wasn't going to depth, and I've had to build it up over the past year and a half to where it is now. So I'm quite happy. But that's a tip I'll give to you: make sure you're doing it properly so you can get the most benefit whilst reducing your risk or minimizing the risk of injury. Moving on from there, I have recently started watching my previous cut transformation videos, and while they're both motivating because I'm basically aiming to beat them next time I cut down, I found the 2018 cutting transformation video more motivating, basically because I know what was going on behind that, which sort of makes me see that as more motivation, because if I could do it then, I can definitely do it now. I'm healthy, because basically at that period I was cutting down and basically recovering and rebuilding from a hip injury I had before doing that. So I think that's why I find that more motivating. But either way, they're both motivating and they both make me want to beat where I was before, and I'm pretty sure if I do my next cut correctly, I should. And then finally, I think this one is probably the best thing I can say out of this whole talk, will probably be the most helpful in terms of just what I think. And this is basically the best life tip I've pretty much got in the past few months, or I've come to realize, and that is to make sure you're building and maintaining friendships of value and not just friendships of convenience, because basically friendship of value is more important, because it's not just based on a surface level of small talk and basically being acquaintances. It's basically where you have a very big depth in terms of actual foundations to the friendship. So basically you can have your deep, meaningful conversations, so your DMCs and all that sort of stuff. You can have debates, you may not agree, you may just agree to disagree, but you can still be friends, and you know they're there for you if you need it, and you'll be there for them. As well as, one thing I've noticed is with friendships of value, you're more willing, and I know myself, I am more willing to go and travel hours to go see those friends, because I know they'd return the same sort of action, so they'd travel to see me. And it's just nice that I know I'll go down there, even if it's just to spend a day, maybe less, with them, because I actually really appreciate and value that friendship, and I know they're supporting me even if we're not in the same area or same city or town. I know they've got my back and they know I've got theirs. So I think one thing you can do is to one thing to do is to make sure you're making friends or friendships of value, as opposed to just of convenience and just making friends of people around you. Like, obviously that's how friendships do develop or sometimes start, but you want to make sure you're developing them into friendships of value where you know you can trust the person, can talk about anything, and you're willing to travel to go and see them, even if it does make you have to go out of your way. And then I know I've just been talking about friendships of value, but when I'm looking, or where you're looking for relationships, I'd say look for ones of value as well. So you're looking for the same sort of things, but it may be, instead of just traveling hours to see them for a day, you may be just traveling for hours to go and see them for an hour or two. Like, that's something to me that I think is quite important. Like, if I'm willing to do that, then I actually do know I very much cherish that person. But that's just my thoughts. It may help, it may not, you may agree, you may disagree, but I thought I'll be 100% honest and just put that one out there. But anyways guys, if you've enjoyed this video, can I get you to leave me a like by hitting that thumbs up button, sharing this with your friends and family if you think it'll either be interesting and entertaining or give them some information they can use, or would help them maybe change their perspective or just help them in general. Subscribe if you're not already so you never miss another video, as long as you hit that notification bell. And most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.